Okay, good morning everyone. So in the last tutorial, we have already finished this platform and its trigger. So once our player goes through all this difficulty and touch this button, this platform will rising up and this button will falling down. So our character can jump on this platform and go to the next island. So for this part, that's the basic operation about this kind of interactive installation. And for today, the things we're going to do is about how to set up this kind of smash box and also set up the health point for our character. In order to do that, we have to start with the character setting first. So basically inside Unreal template, the basic operation like the game mode or the character operation system has already settled down. So you don't have to do that. We can just directly go to the third person folder, scrolling down, go to blueprint, and double click on the BP third person. Remember, it's this one. And you can open up its blueprint editor. So, if you have time, you can take a look about how they settle up all this stuff, like this kind of add input mapping, camera input, movement input, jump input. So basically these four different screens is about the basic operation which connect your keyboard, your mouse with your character so that you can using your keyboard and all your operation handles to control your game character. So if you have time, you can take a look. For today, the things we are going to do, basically we'll focus on this part. Alright, this part. And for this part, that's about the days animation. So which means once our character is died, it will play the strip and show the death animation. And for this part, it's about to settle up the health. First is we need to have the health point. Otherwise, the smash box the attack of the smash box won't work. So we will start right here. Okay? So now let's get started. For this time, we don't have to create a new one because for the character, we can just directly write inside this character blueprint. So we don't have to use a new one. But if you do want, you can still using right click duplicate and then we can change the game character to the new one which you created. That's another thing. So for now, I will just directly using the old one. Okay? So let's get started. Okay, so first things we have to set up a variable which named health. But because I already have one, so I cannot create a one which has the same name. So let's create this variable icon. Create a new variable, let's call it one HP. And then go to the type, choosing float. And for this one, I still want to open up that. Let's drag this one here and choosing get HP. So, for the next part, actually, for this, and also here, and here, even here, basically it's more about the damage setting. So we have to do that later. First thing, let's create an HP point, and then we have to create an event tick. But if you go to here and if you want to find event tick, there's only one. Just remember this one and the begin overlap, something like this one. Event begin play, begin overlap. All these kind of event, no, they only have one. So if you want to have more, we can use in sequence. But for this time, I will just directly cut off that. Alright? Let's just directly cut off that. Or you can just alright, probably let's use in a simple way. Let's just cut off that and put the event tick to here. Put the event tick to here. And the next thing I want to do is to set up the print string. Let's go to here, right click, and choosing print string. What's that for? Basically right now it doesn't have much function for now. Because for the event tick, basically it's just an update node. For every second, it will receive the data from the HP node and to sense how many HP points you have so far. And it will print it, it will report this data to the computer. So we will know how many HP points your character has for now. So if there is some damage happen to your character, you will reduce that and report to computer and by the event tick. So basically, it's just like an update node. And how about the print string? For the print string node, actually, it's very, very simple. For that one, it's just like, we can say that it's just like a node to show your numbers. So it's not a I would say probably in the end of this project, we can use another better user interface or graphic interface to replace this one. But for now, we can use this because this one will show the number on your screen. Usually, we're using that for test. Let's take a look about the original one first. So basically, it will look like this, using event tag to update the print string, and then using the print string to update get the health point number to here. Okay? So basically it will be this one. Let's do that again. Ctrl C, Ctrl V, copy the print string node. And for event tag, in order, because I don't want to break this one, so probably I can copy one more. Using sequence, and we can separate more. But remember, you don't have to do that, okay? You don't have to do that. So right now, I just want to use event tag and connect to here, so that we can trigger this new print string. And then for the HP point, let's just put them to the in string here. Okay? So basically it's just like this. This line is to print string. So that's the new one. And let's put this one here because right now they are going to share. But after we finish the new one, we can just directly delete the old one. Okay, so basically it's just an example and a reference for us. So right now, while we are playing the game, this one is supposed to show up, but we can test that later. The first thing right now that we have to save and compile, and then right now we will have the default value right here. So which means we can set the default HP number for now. Let's take a look. So my default setting is 100. So for this one, I want to set it 100 as well. Let me do the notation for you. For this one, this is the old one. So let's just call this one 01 for reference. And right now here, we are working on the new one. So this is the new one. And after we finish another part, we can add more node inside and make this one fully functional. After we finish the basic HP setting, the next things we have to do is to create the smash box. Because for the rest of the part, it's about the damage of the smash box. We have to receive how much damage the smash box will create, and then connect this part to the smash box so that we can receive the damage and reduce that from our health point. So finally, the print string node will print out your current HP points. That's the idea. So now we have to go back to Unreal Editor, go to Blueprint, and I already have one, so we can just double click, open up this one. So here is the thing. This is the smash box, so the node of the smash box. But before that, we have to take a look about the structure, the model of the smash box. Basically, it's just a very simple cube model, and also we have a collider here. This is a collider, okay, box collision. So let's do that first. Let's go to here, right click, and choosing Blueprint class. And I want to create an actor. Let's call this one BP Smasher 2. Okay? And double click, go to the Blueprint editor. Just like what we said before, actually you can directly drag model into your Blueprint editor. But for this time, in order to make everything stay in the original point, so I want to create it here. First thing is let's create a collision. Let's choosing box collisions. And second thing, let's call this one box collision. I think it's fine. Okay. Now let's go to add and choosing box or cube. Up to you. For this time, I'm gonna choosing cube. But we have to make this one smaller. Then anyway, let's change the name first, okay? The collision is supposed to be bigger than your smasher. So I'd like to scale up the collisions, make this one bigger. Let's lock this icon. Go to the detail, transform, and lock the scale so that all the things will change together. Alright, so right now it was inside, so I cannot see that because both of them, the smasher will follow its parent. This is the parent of the smasher, so the sun will always follow the parent's movement. So right now, if I scale this one, also the smasher will be scaled. Alright, it's okay. Let's drag and choosing attach. Right now, temporarily separate them. So now I can scale up the smasher. Make them bigger. I prefer integer, so let's type in 1.75. I think it's fairly okay. Or probably smaller will be better. Okay, cool. Alright, so now we have. Now let's bring the smasher back to the box collisions. So now we have. So second thing, let's create a material for this one. I don't like this white material. Let's go to material setting under the detail panel. And let's go to find brick. Okay, just like my example. Now save and compile. So that's the 3D model. So once we finish the box smasher, let's go to the event graphic. Remember, for the construction script, it's the one which we will create as object before the game starts. But if you want to make the object be generated after the game starts, then it has to be work inside event graphic. So let's take a look. First thing, let's drag the box smasher to here. That's the things we're going to do. And the idea is like this. So basically, the box smasher will falling down based on the setting, based on the parameter. And we can change the rate. For example, some of them will fall in faster and some of them will fall in slower. And also the height, the distance will be different. So it can create some kind of reason and make player will feel fun to go through all these difficulties. So that's the things. Let's go back to the blueprints, event graphic, smashes. Sorry, I think I made something wrong here. Let's delete that. That's not the things I want. The things we're working on is here. So let's drag them. You can use in box collision. That's this one. Okay. And for that one, we have to get the location first. So let's type in relative location. Let's get the relative location first. And now let's take a look. So probably you will find out the things I showed to you here is a little bit different because I already make them become a function. So which means you can put a couple different nodes together and make them become a function. So it will be easier and make your blueprints probably doesn't look that complicated. So as far as I can see, in my script, there are two nodes that is customized. One is rising, another one is falling. So if you double click, you will go to a sub editor. So here is the sub editor. The first thing we will get the locations, and then we can use in some algorithm to change the height using the math additions to add the height we want. So we'll finally go back to the move component too. So this is the one that we can using for move the component. Okay, so let's try to do that. First things, let's find out move to. Move component to. Okay, and for that part, I'd like to split this one. So that's choosing rectangle. No, not that one. Let's choosing break vector. Okay, and the things we want to change is also here we can break the. Let's hold on auto key. disconnect this one first and choosing splash pin, so it will be easier for you. And for the X and Y, I think it will remain the same. The only difference is about the Z. So let's, using the old trick, go to find add, function add, and connect this one to here. So for this part, I want this one become a variable. So let's drag this one out and choosing promote to variable, and it will show up right here. Let's call this one height and open up the eyes. So now choosing compile and save. That's the basic about this script. So first things, we will get the object, that's the box collision, and then get the location of the box collision. Change that into 3 coordinate number, and finally using the add to change the height of the Z height and turn this number back to the move component node. So using this way, we can change the height of the box collision. Okay. So the next things we have to do is to settle up the rising speed. So right now we already have the height, and although I haven't set up the height, but probably we can just set, I don't know, let's take a look about my old setting. It's here. Okay, 250 centimeter. So let's go to choosing this one and type in maybe just 200. I think it will be fine. So now we have the height, so which means at the very beginning it will rise up 200 centimeter. But how about the time? Because we need the time, so we know how it will move and how is the speed. So right now we have to settle up the overtime. For this one, I'd like to drag this one out and promote to variable. So we can call this one time. So once we set choosing compile and save, this one, we can define this one. So 0.2 probably is a little bit too fast. So let's choosing 0.5. So that's the beginning. So right now, since we have the height and since we have the time, so we have the speed, the rising speed of the box collisions. The next thing is that the move. Because if you remember, this kind of icon, which means the executing icon. So we need a trigger to activate this entire script. Usually we can just simply choose an event node. And just like since we're using before, event begin play or event end play or the enter event node, etc. But this time, the things I wanted to use is a more customized way. First thing I want to choose in this one, the event begin node. If we just directly connect this one to here, which means at the very beginning, it will start to move. Okay? But we can use it another way. Let's go to here and go to find custom node. Add a custom event. Let's call this one start. Sorry, I make a wrong name. Let's call this one start and connect the start to move. But right now, we just changed its name, so it hasn't been defined. So the next part of things we have to do is to define the start. So we can use the event begin play to define the start. Okay, now this one. Okay, let's drag this one here. And this one, the event graphic. This one we can use this to define that. Okay, so that's it. So which means we create a custom event and using event begin play to define the start custom event. So right now, this one will be falling down. Rising up. So for the next part, the things we have to do is to create a falling down screen. Let's save and compile. So for the folding part, actually it's pretty much the same. We can just directly copy everything we have here. Ctrl C and Ctrl V, copy all of them. But for this part, it will be falling down. And right now, because the height is still a positive number, but if we want to make them falling down, we can just directly disconnect this one and drag, go to find multiply here and type in -1. and connect this one to here. So it will turn into falling down. Alright? And then just directly connect this one to here. But if we just end up here, all this screen, it will just going up and then going down. So that's not the things I want. If we want to make this one totally work, we have to make them become a loop. So let's copy this one again. Ctrl C and Ctrl V, copy this one to here. And drag this one to here. So, which means, at the very beginning, as the game starts, the event begin play will give the start node a single. And the start node will activate the move component to node. So it will move the smash collision box go up. Once it go up, and once it go to the toppest point, it will start to falling down. And once it's falling down, and then the entire loop will go back again, go back to the start. So it just keep falling down and rising up. So that's the idea of this script. But right now we haven't finished the entire setting. Because for now, if you just directly falling down from the top point, it will be a little bit weird. So just like what we did before, I'd like to using delay to slow down the falling speed. So let's choose this one, and if you want, you can take this one as a variable, but I would say probably just set 1, so we can have some waiting time. I think right now it's pretty much down. But if you take a look about my script, oh, it looks a little bit different. All the rest is same, but the major difference is here. For rising and falling, we don't have this component. So where it come from? Actually, it's a customized component. It's not made by ourselves. We can just direct, for this part, there's another thing we forget to connect here. Box collision. Let's connect them together. Right? Because the target is the same. So how can we make this one become something like this? How can we make them become the same thing? Well, actually, that will be about to using function. Let's check all these components. Right click, and we can choose collapse to function, and it will show up right here. And let's call this one falling. And for that part is the same. Let's choosing all of them. Right click, collapse to function. Let's call this one rising. So now we have this one is falling and that one is rising. And also for this part, we have to connect the trigger. So otherwise it won't work, okay? Otherwise it won't work. So let's connect these two here, alright? Sorry for that, because that one only can connect one, but we can also connect this way, right? Probably it's a little bit different because the location has to be break. So for that output, it's a little bit different from what I did, but for basically, I think the idea is pretty much the same. So let me check. Okay, so everything is fine. Target cell, that's correct. And the component here, we have to connect here, right? The box collision to the move to component to component. Okay, so pretty much done. And also here, that's the same. We need a trigger. Let's connect to here. Then for that part, we can connect to here. And also this part, we need a component that connect to the component. So pretty much now. That right now, I think we can start to arrange and do some layout for this script. So for this part, double click to make this one temporary node. Probably move them to, I just want to make them be organized. So up to you. Over here, let's do that again. Double click. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's it. That's the falling down and rising up script. Or we can just try to simplify the no here because but because we have the using addition to do the setting. So yeah, I think we can keep like this. Okay, so this is about rising. Let's go to here, double click, go to falling. Let's rearrange this one again. I like to make everything organized so it will look better, and also it will help you understand the inner logic. Okay, so that's it. Alright, so now let's get to event graphic and choosing save. Let's stay in this screen so that you can see more clear. First things, event begin play and start. Use this one to give a start single to start component. And then the start component will give a activate single to here. And for this one, basically it's just about the basic mass addition. It will give a z distance to our component. And then finally using this one to move your component up. Once it moves up, we will delay that, make the component stay in the sky for 1 second, and it will start to falling down. Basically, it's just like a reverse animation. It will start to falling down. Once it finishes the entire procedure, it will go up again. So basically, again, we will go to the start component. So that's the idea about the Smashbox movement. Let's choosing compile and save. For the next part, the things we are going to do is to define the damage of your component. Once we finish the movement of your Smashbox, the next thing we have to do is about to set up the damage of the Smashbox. In order to say that, we have to go back to the third-person character blueprint. So right here, just like the things we showed you before, actually we have to define the damage here. If you want to define the damage component on the smasher, it's also okay. But for this time, because we are going to create damage on your character, so I'd like to set them here and using this BP smasher to define that. So it will be a little bit complicated. Basically, we can call this operation as a communication between the different blueprints. It's more advanced stuff, but I would say just try to do that and you can understand. So the first thing we have to do is to create a new event graphic. Let's right click and go to find custom event. And for this time, let's call this one probably, it used to call damage before. So this time let's call that 1 Hertz. Okay, let's call that 1 Hertz. So right now it will show up on the graphic, event graphic. Let's choosing save and compile. So now let's go back to the smashers. From now on, we have to define the damage, the hertz of the smashers. So let's take a look. The first thing, actually, the idea is like this. Here is our reference, so we can take a look about this reference. At the very beginning, how to define the smash box will create damage to our character. For sure, they have to be overlap. So basically, it was still about the overlap stuff. So the first thing we have to create is this sensor. It will sense whether we have the intersection with the box smasher or not. So let's go to here and choosing the box collision, right click, and the things we are going to do is add on component begin overlap. Okay, that's the first one. And then we are going to cast to. So here is about the blueprint communication. We are going to using the BP smasher to communicate with our third person character. So just like here, cast to BP third person character. So that's the things. Let's go to here, drag, and choosing cast to third person character. So that's the object we are going to communicate. So once we have this one, we can go to find out Hertz, I think. Not here. Okay, so now we have the Hertz. So just remember, you need to create the event graphic here, so that when we call and communicate with the third-person character inside BP Smasher, we can call this variable, this node out. Otherwise, it won't work, alright? Stay safe and compile. Right now it's arrow, but it's okay because we haven't defined that. You can see that we have to define other actor to here and also a BP third-person character here. Otherwise, it won't work. So let's choosing connect and here to connect, and let's choosing save and compile again. Okay, so now it worked. So the next things we're going to do, let's take a look. So first things, we have to define the smasher damage. The smasher damage, that's the things we have to define first. So where is come from? Where is this come from? So base plate, it will show up here, but anyway, it will be defined this part. Okay, it will be defined this part. And place on at location and spawn emitter at location. Basically, all these things is about the spatial effect, so it doesn't matter. The most important part will be here. So we are going to create a smasher damage, or let's say the Hertz damage number, right inside the smasher, and that will be using for reduce the health point on our third-person character. So that's the thing. Let's save and compile first. But right now, our Hertz doesn't have the damage section, just like here. So how can we make this one coming out? Actually, we have to go back to this part, the third-person character, choosing the Hertz custom event. And right here, we can add the input. So let's call this one probably Hertz parameter. And then change this one to a floating number and save and compile. So once we have, here will show up the Hertz parameter, and we can set a new variable. So let's choosing Hertz parameter, compile and save. And how much is that? How much is that? Probably let's choosing 30, because our health point probably is around 90 or 100. So let's set this one 30. I think it's quite enough. So pretty much done. Let's go keep working, moving forward. So the next things, if you remember, we still have two nodes here. The place sound at location and the spawn emitter at location. Basically, all this stuff is just about the visual effect. One is for the explosive sound. Another one is the explosive visual effect. So let's finish that, okay? Let's go to here, play song as locations. So that's it. And for that one, you can go to here, choosing, I don't know, you can, usually I'm just choosing explosions, right? And for the next one, spawn emitter at the location. And for that part, yeah, again, I'm not so sure what, okay, I think it's this one, P explosion. Let me confirm. Okay, P explosion, explosion 1. Yeah, that's correct. So for the rest of the things, basically it's just about define the location. So the location is supposed to be the actor location. So the things we use is get actor location. So that's right here, and choosing get actor location. And as far as I can see, the output icon is yellow, so which means it's a vector. Let's just connect all this vector to the location. Down. Compile and save. Alright, so now we have already finished that. So for this part, let's do a notation. Right click, choosing create common. So this one is for the smasher damage script. And for that part, it's about the movement of the smasher. Right click, create common. Okay, so that's it. So inside this one, we also have a sub node here, the rising function and falling functions. Basically, they are pretty much the same. It just invert animation. So the logic is pretty much the same. I think we can organize them again so that it won't intersect it. Try it like this. Oh no. Let's just move them down. I think it will be more clear. Hold on your shift key and you can do the multi-selection. Just like a Rhinoceros or Blender. Alright, let's compile and save and make sure everything is right. So now we have finished the setting, the script of the smashers. Since we have already finished the BP smasher setting, so now we can go back to the third person character and start to settle up the HP algorithm. So the things we just did is about to set up the variable of HP and then using event tick to update the number. So the next part of things we're going to do is to settle down the functions of the damage. So first things for the HP point, we have to using that to reduce the hurt number. So let's choosing his one, drag out and go to find subtract here. So now we have the subtract and connect this one to here. Alright. So the next thing is once we do the computation, the next part we have to reset the HP point. So let's go to here, choosing the HP point, drag this out and choosing set. Set the HP point and connect here to here because we have to activate that and the new number will be here. Okay. So the next thing is the things we are going to set up. Right now the HP point is not the old one anymore. The new one will be here. So we can just directly connect to this part. And because probably we will have multiple output numbers, so I want to use a node that can increase the number of the output node. So let's choosing here and choosing sequence. Right? For this one, we can just keep editing new node. So for this part, let's just drag. Not here. Sorry for that. So this part cannot be here. Let's connect. Using this one to define the print string again. And how about the number? I want to set up the number. It's okay. Let's just directly using this one, the computation result, to update that. So right now we don't need that one anymore. Okay, just like this. So now we have already finished this part. The HP point, once the smash box touch our character, our HP will be reduced because these functions, and then the HP point will be reset. The data will return to print string. It will show up on your screen. So the next part is about how if our HP point is smaller than 0, it's supposed to die, right? So that's the next thing we are going to do. There is a logic. There's a logic node that we are going to use, which name branch. Okay, the branch. So the next things we are going to set up is about, first things we have to know how is that bigger than 0 or smaller than 0. And then if it's smaller than 0, it will die. And if it's not, it will just keep moving forward, right? So that's the idea. Let's try to do that. Let's move this one up. And then the first thing is, let's connect to here. And let's choosing smaller, less, equal. This one. And the number is 0, so that is correct. And next part, the things we're going to do is to using a logic node branch. Its name is branch. There. Okay. So for the logic node, let's connect this one. This is the condition. So if this one, our HP point is smaller than 0, and if it is true, our character will death. Right now, you cannot find death. Okay, alright. Here we have the functions. Because that, and why we have this one? That's because I already created here. Okay? So if you don't have, you have to create a death node here. And just like what we did before, go to constant event. And let's call this one death. But I think right now it won't work because I already have one. Let's call this one death 2. And once you have, we can drag, or you can just simply choosing. So we still can use that. Okay. But right now, I think since I already have, so I will using the original one. Just connect them here. But why we have to do that? We can also just directly using destroy actor, and it will just directly destroy your character. Alright? But if you do that, it won't have any animation because once you delete your actor, your player, it just disappear, and it will all the rest of the program won't work. So that's the reason why I want to using that, because we can using this custom event to set up the following operation. So right now we'll have the dash part. And how about the rest? Let me check. Basically, they are pretty much the same. So I think there's nothing you need to change. But if you do want to make them look the same, we can connect the number to here. That's the only things we can do. For the rest of the part, pretty much the same. Okay, just like this. So how about this part? Right now, I think we don't need that anymore because we already set up a new one. So we can just directly delete them. Even for the damage, we can just directly delete the damage component. Okay. Right here, it always disappeared. So it doesn't matter anymore. Okay, so here is about HP. So let's make a comment for that. HP point. Okay, so the dash, the herd, and event tick, everything is here. So perfect. So the next thing we are going to do is to set up the dash component, event component. Basically, here is about a series of animation. Let's take a look and try to do that again. Okay, so let me disconnect that so that you can understand what we are going to do. The first thing is about set simulate physics and then set collision profile name. And there is a custom, there is a node which name ragdoll, disable input, and set visibility. Alright, so here is a little bit complicated, but anyway, we will figure it out. So now let's start to define the dash custom event. So first things, the first part I did right here actually is about to set up the physics setting of our character model. If you take a look, let's go to here. This one is a 3D model, but in order to make this one work, actually inside this character there is a skeleton inside this character model. So you can actually find here, this is a skeleton model. So this skeleton model is just like a controller. It will control your 3D model to move. And if you disable the controller and also disable the physical simulation of this skeleton, you will make this one looks like, suddenly your character lost all the power and she or he died. So that's the idea. We are going to change the setting about the skeleton. So first things, let's go back to the third person character event graphic. Let's drag this out and let's choose in set hit physics and choose in mesh. So basically the mesh is about our model. Okay, and the simulate choosing check. So which means it will check the physical simulation. And then the next part is set collision profile name. Basically this one is about to set up its collision property. And we can using a profile which name ragdoll. It will make that one looks like a rag character. And once it loads its physical simulation and loses its power, it will just like it loses all the strength and suddenly die. So that's the idea. Anyway, let's try to do that and you will understand. Set collision file name. Okay, and for the mesh, that's the same. So let's connect to here, double click. And for that one, let's just go to file rag. So, okay. So, almost done. So once it died, we have to disable our input, which means all the things here. We have to disable all the things here. So let's go to here and choosing disable input. So once this start, your character, once that's event graphic, event node work, your input control will be disabled. You cannot use that anymore. And finally, set the visibility. For this part, what that means, what's that for? Basically, it's about to show up the days node. I actually do that before in my set here. You can see that, but right now it's disappeared. So how can we? Once our character die, it will show up just like that. This, you died, right? And also remember this one, it has to follow the camera. So actually we should check this one and make that one follow the, make that one follow your camera. So you will always see that on your screen. So that's the thing. How can we do that? Go to here, choosing text, text, TXT, text render, and you will show up here. And you can type in the character here, you are that, something like that. You are that. Okay. That's the name of that's the name of your of this dash node. Let's move this one out. Okay. So now let's go to change this one, the input, the inner content. Dash node. Let's okay. Here, text. Let's just type in you are that. Okay, cool. So let's bring them to here, and remember it has to under the follow camera. And for the O1, I will just directly delete that. Probably it's too long. The name is too long. So let's just type in that node. Okay. So now let's go back to event graphic. So the next part, set visibility. But we are not going to set this one, not camera burn, but the dash node. Let's choose this one. Target is dash node. And the visible trigger is here. Well, we already have one, but we can do that again. Let's delete here. Yes, I want to delete. Create a new variable, and let's call this one visibilities. And remember, the type has to be Boolean, which means it's just like a trigger. Drag this one in, get visibility, put that one here. Okay, put that one here. So at the default setting, it's supposed to be disappear because I don't want to always see that. So let's choose in here, go to the 3D viewport, choosing the dead node, go to the rendering, uncheck this one, compile and save. And for the event graphic, go back to event graphic visibility. Once you finish, check that. So that's the idea. Once you die, this one will show up. Let's check. I think everything is fine. So for the O1, we can just directly delete that. Okay, the O1, let's just delete that. Let's drag them to here. And remember to make a comment. Let's call this one dash event define. Alright, so let's do some arrangement. Put all of them here. I like everything be organized. So that's the thing. For the upper part, it's about the input now, so you don't have to change that. Probably let's make them closer. And for this part, it's about our setting for your character. Save and compile. And make sure there's nothing missing. Okay, that's now that's our correct component. Okay, so everything's fine. And for box smashers, put them here. Okay, rising and falling. Alright, perfect. So now we can start to do some tests. Let's close and let's start to do some tests here. And some of them show the bad blueprint. That's because I already deleted the old panel. So, sorry, I already deleted the old variable. So right now it won't work anymore. Let's just delete them. Also this one, I want to delete that. Okay. Oh, I put so many useless stuff. So let's just delete that. So now we can put your box smasher to here. And probably let's just put them here. And then once our character go there, and we can try when it was hit, whether it will work or not. Okay, let's try to do that. Okay, let's try. So when I press play, you can see that the health points show up on the left side, but it just keeps showing. So that's the thing we have to fix. And if we go yes, the smash button, yeah, I'm going to die. So it's still showing up the number. Also the things I have to do. Okay, let's jump out of the game. So first thing is, I want to fix the HP point. Let's go to the blueprint, turn on the third person character blueprint. So in order to save that, we can just simply connect delta second to the duration. Somehow it can fix the problem. Just double click. And let's move this one here. Organize them. Alright? And also here, I'd like to do some change. So first one right now, we just set up the visibilities, and we can set up a delay. That's the things I just created. Delay for 5 seconds, which means after our character died, there will be 5 seconds for waiting time. And after 5 seconds, we can just directly quit the game. Alright, so it will, once it finishes the animation, it will help us to quit the game. Right click, make a comment, let's call this one death. Okay, cool. Compile and save. And the second thing is that let's try to set up our Smashbox. So first thing is, let's go to the blueprint editor, double click, and make sure all these components has been turned on so that we can change the number here on the detail panel. So let's start to copy them. Hold on your Alt key, and you can copy the component. Let's create some block on our pathway. Let's move them up. Probably some of them can going down a little bit, like these two, and like these three, they have to go up. Otherwise, it will be too low and impossible to pass. Okay, so pretty much done. So now let's change the height. So for this one, I want them can be faster. Also, this one can be faster. And probably for this one, it can be higher. And this one, yeah, just keep like this. Okay. So last things, I wanted the ground can also have some damage, because probably when I touch the ground, well, our character will be damaged. So for the starting point, I want to create a safe platform, probably right here. It's using scale to scale one is down, and move our character up. So this is a safety zone. And I have to jump out of this, I have to jump to here. But also I have to avoid and try not to be damaged by this box. So that's the things. Let's move up. Probably this one, we can use this physical cube as the island. So we have to touch on this one very carefully. Jump on this one very carefully and go to here. So that's the idea. Okay, so I think pretty much done. And so now we have to settle up the damage of the ground. For this one, I think we can just directly delete that. So let's just using a Smashbox, duplicate this one, duplicate. And let's call this one hurt gr. Double click and open up the blueprint. So for this one, first thing I want to change the look of the geometries. So for that one, I think we don't have to using this material anymore. Let's change this one to something different, maybe metal. I want to use in metal steel. It looks fine. And then I want to change the size. So first things, let's scale up all the geometries 3 times bigger. And then for the Z direction, let's make this one 0.2. Okay. But for the collision, I want to make this one higher. Let's drag and choosing a touch. So now we can change this one. I like integers, so let's change the number here. And for this part, let's type in 0.2, I guess. Sorry, not 0.2. Just 0.1. Thinner. And this one can be bigger. Okay. Save and compile. So basically for the graphic, we can just directly delete all the things here because this is about the movement, if you remember. So let's just delete the movement of the smasher, leave the damage part, compile and save. So now let's drag this one here and using this to replace the ground. Let's delete the original ground and using scale up. And if you cannot confirm how big it's supposed to be, let's go to the full side view and go to the top view. I think let's choosing this one, top view. Go to here. Click this one, you can switch to a different view, or you can just simply go to here to change. Alright, so the boxes here, let's move them to the center. And make this one bigger. Okay, now let's go back to the perspective. Perfect. So now let's try. Wait. Where is the starting point? It is up here. So I think it's too high for now. Let's scale that, move this one down. Okay, there is some gap. Make them bigger. Okay, let's start. So at the very beginning, if I jump to here, I would get hurt. Alright, I get hurt again. I have to jump to here very carefully. Alright. So too far for me. Alright, 5 seconds and again end. So that's the thing. Okay, so we have already settled down the damage and health point setting for our character, and also right now we have a simple stage. This part probably there's something wrong here. We can put them back. How high it is? 2. Okay, 2. Okay, so that's it. So basically right now we have the smash box, we have the damage, we have the HP point setting. So the character have to go through all this pathway and he cannot falling down on the ground. If they falling down, they will be hurt. Let's try to do that again. Alright, so I have to be very careful. Oh, don't touch the ground. And watch the height. Jump! Why so fast? So that's the things we have to adjust. Okay? Finally, buttons of your game. So that's all for today's tutorial. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to practice. Okay? See you next time.